We all want to get the most out of the protein we eat, right? Whether it's for fitness, for strength, or maybe just for healthy aging. But what if I told you a lot of us are getting it just a little bit wrong, and a simple change could unlock so much more potential? Let's figure out if you're one of them.
Okay, let's just dive right in. You could be meticulously tracking your food, eating tons of protein, and still not be seeing the results you're working so hard for. It's a super frustrating thought, isn't it? So today, we're gonna dig into the real science, bust some of those common myths you always hear, and build a simple, no-nonsense plan to make every gram of protein count. All right, first up, let's tackle the biggest idea out there. The one that says, as long as you hit your daily protein number, when you eat it doesn't really matter. I mean, that's what most of us do, right? We just focus on getting it all in by the end of the day. Well, a really fascinating study put this very idea to the test. And the results, well, they might just change how you plan your meals.
So here's what the researchers did. They set up 2 different meal plans, but, and this is key, both had the exact same total amount of protein, about 90 grams. The first group followed a skewed diet, a tiny bit of protein for breakfast, a little more at lunch, and then a huge protein-packed dinner. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's how a lot of us eat. The second group had an even diet, splitting that same 90 grams equally across all 3 meals.
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. The scientists measured something called muscle protein synthesis. That's literally the process of your body building new muscle over a full 24 hours. And just look at the difference. It wasn't even close. The group that spread their protein out evenly had a way, way higher rate of muscle building throughout the day. How much higher? A massive 25% more effective. That is a huge deal. It tells us something absolutely crucial. Your body is not a protein savings account. You can't just dump a giant 60-gram steak in at dinner and expect your body to ration it out for muscle building overnight. There's a limit to how much it can use at one time, so spreading it out is everything. Okay, so we've nailed down the when, but what about the what with? You have probably heard this one a million times. You have to have carbs with your protein shake to spike your insulin, otherwise you're wasting it. It kind of sounds scientific, but is it actually true? Well, another study looked at this exact question. One group was giving 20 grams of protein after exercise. The second group got the same 20 grams of protein, but they also added 40 grams of carbs. So when they measured the muscle building effect over the next 6 hours, well, look, it was basically a tie. The added carbs didn't really move the needle in a meaningful way. And here's what the researchers themselves concluded. They said that, yeah, carbs might speed up the process a little bit right at the beginning, but they don't actually add to the total amount of muscle built in the end. It turns out that a decent dose of protein, all by itself, gives you all the insulin response you need to get the job done. The extra carbs, at least for this specific purpose, are, well, they're optional. So we've busted 2 huge myths. We know when to eat our protein, and we know we don't necessarily need to pair it with carbs. But why? What is actually going on inside our muscle cells that makes this all work? Turns out, it all comes down to a tiny little biological light switch. The whole process is controlled by a pathway called mTOR. Now, don't worry about the long name. The easiest way to think of mTOR is as the construction foreman inside your muscle cells. He's just standing there, clipboard in hand, waiting for the signal to yell, "All right, time to build!" So what's the signal? What gets this foreman to start the project? It's a very specific amino acid called leucine. When you eat a protein-rich meal, the leucine from that food acts like a direct message to that mTOR foreman, telling him it's go time. Leucine is the key that starts the whole engine. And this is the magic behind that 30-gram number we keep talking about. Around 30 grams of high-quality protein delivers enough leucine to confidently flip that mTOR switch to on and kickstart the muscle-building process. Okay, so we've torn down the myths, we've looked at the actual science behind it all. Now for the best part. Let's put this all together into a super simple, actionable plan that you can start using, like, today. Here it is, your new protein playbook. First, distribute your protein evenly. Aim for about 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner to keep that muscle-building machinery humming all day long. Second, remember that how you spread it out is way more important than just cramming it all in at night. Timing beats totals. And third, carbs are optional. Don't feel like you have to chug a sugary drink with your protein shake just for muscle synthesis. And finally, focus on those leucine-rich foods, things like meat, dairy, eggs, and also great plant-based sources like soy and lentils. So there you have it,
A clear, evidence-based roadmap to get the absolute most out of the protein you're eating. But remember, what you eat is only one piece of the puzzle, isn't it? What about the other side of the coin, rest and recovery? What does science really have to say about that? That sounds like a great topic for another day.